Hi West Ham fans, long time no post. It's been quite a few matches. I've been keeping up with everything. It was squeaky bum time there for a little while, especially as Southampton started winning. Just a quick replay. Really enjoyed the Leicester match. Didn't think West Ham got enough credit for that from our own fans and everybody else, I think, because of the predicament the club is in, or was in, with Moyes. I think there was a lot of negativity. We won because Leicester were crap. Not true. I thought Leicester were, for the first time this season, we dominated a midfield. It was amazing. Now, I know that a couple of their players, maybe one of their midfielders, the really good one, he was not really into it and is definitely going to be leaving and going somewhere else. But you know what? They beat Arsenal 3-1 the next game, and they darn near beat Spurs the game after that. So credit where credit's due. I thought we did well. And then we went on to Everton, and that was a big match for us. So many ways. It was the last game at the stadium, the blighted stadium. It was potentially the last game for Moyes. We didn't know at that time. It was also against Sam Allardyce, and it was against a bogey team. That was the best game I have watched all season. The pressure was off, and my question was going to be, if I posted then, was, is that how we could play under Moyes without the pressure, being in a top 10 situation? Because that was fantastic. I really enjoyed that game. But nevertheless, things have happened. I didn't think, to tell you the truth, that they were going to do this. I thought they were going to keep him. I'll be quite honest with it. And actually, I sent one of these, your shouts, to Gonzo. And Gonzo said, I think they've just let him go. Do you want to post this? I said, hold it. No. That's the second time I've been wrong with this board. The first time I was wrong with this board was no way we were going to buy Andy Carroll. No way. We bought Andy Carroll. But I predicted things pretty well since then, but they pretty well stunned me on how quickly they moved. I thought they were going to either just not do anything for a while, or do their usual dithering, which they do, and cost us another pre-season, which may still happen, by the way. So let's move into what's happening right now. In my opinion, some interesting developments. Fonseca's gone. I really wanted Fonseca. I know, I'm proven, never been in the Premier League, Shakhtar Donetsk, who are they? But have you seen the way he plays, the way he organizes teams? He does not buy players. He needs a director of football. And the fact that they looked at him, I thought, could have been a good thing for us. He's young too, 45, and that's what I was looking for. Someone pretty well unheard of, young, with all the right ideas. Of course, you know, he's got no Premier League experience. I think it was one of those things where they interviewed him with the idea that they were really going for someone else, because they could have sprung for him like that. And there's no way he would have signed for Shakhtar if we had offered him, any Premier League had got offered him. I'm afraid I think he was just used, he probably used us to get another contract. So move on. My next choice would have been, well, that's hard. I kind of like Emery. The only problem with Emery is this: he was wonderful with Valencia. Again, he played some fantastic football, great football. Again, though, he's got no Premier League experience. I think he's too big for us, I'm afraid to say. I think that having done Valencia and PSG, that you know, he's waiting in the wings probably for a quasi-Champions League club. And that's not us. And that won't be us for a few years. So, if ever. So, and the big knock for him is that he can't speak English. And, you know, having watched Fawlty Towers for years, you know where I'm going with this. You know, you can see it right now. Ball forward! Ball to his elbow, head, chin. You know, I mean, you can't work like that. And you know, I know that we've got a couple of Spanish speakers in the squad, but nevertheless, I do really think that you have to have an English speaker. So that's out. Although I wouldn't say no, and I would be excited. I can see the issues there. Then that leads me on to Ranieri. Absolutely not. I'm not even going past that. He did a wonderful thing with Leicester. He's a real gentleman. But my criteria is young and new ideas and dynamic. And something happened there where he lost the plot with Leicester. So no thank you. Moving on. So it comes down to three for me that are going to get the job. one of which I really would like. The other two I have some issues with. The one that I would like is Silva. I don't think that we're going to get Silva. I think that Everton have obviously decided that they want him to, and I don't think we're chasing him that hard. But he has everything I think Fonseca has, a little of what Emery has, and he also has Premier League experience, and he speaks English. I think he would be good. The question is, did he lose the plot with Watford because Everton came in for him? Or did he lose the plot because he was just overwhelmed and really not good enough? Or the team wasn't? I don't know. It would be a punt. But nevertheless, he's young, he's dynamic, he's got some ideas, plays attractive football. I'd be happy if we got Silva. Then it comes down to the last two, Benitez and Pellegrini. Neither of these two would be my choices. However, both of them have attributes that could help West Ham. The thing is, they're both old. I think they're both in their 60s, 63, 64, and I really think it's time for us to get a young, dynamic, forward-looking manager that we can build a future with and build a team around. However, it looks to me like the board are very close to Pellegrini or Benitez, possibly Pellegrini. Pellegrini sometimes looks a bit shell-shocked to me. I'm not quite sure how he did it with Man City, apart from the fact that he had the players there. He's got a good history. In fact, he has a better history than Benitez. If you look at and Claret and Hugh did a good thing where they compared the two. And if you read the background of the two, Pellegrini actually comes out, in my eyes, slightly more favourable. When I go to Benitez, and let me back up, Pellegrini, if we get him, I'll be okay with that, and judiciously holding back a little bit to see what happens. Can he galvanize the team? Is he that strong leader? Does he have modern dynamic ideas? And does his skill set belie his age? I don't know. We'll see. I'll certainly be a little more positive, but nonetheless, I was really hoping for someone of the Fonseca Silva, caliber. Benitez, my final one. All I have to say on Benitez is this: good manager, great manager, once, still a good manager. But remind me, why did we get rid of Moyes? Was it the boring football, defensive? Because Benitez has two things over Moyes, three things really. He's actually won something, fair enough, okay, with great teams, but he's never going to get that opportunity to play with those big teams again. The whole mantra of managing big teams has changed. And if you don't believe me, take a look at all the big teams. PSG took a punt on Emery. We've got Pep at Man City. We've got Klopp at Liverpool. The whole thing's changed. Rodgers at Celtic is not the man for me either. Same thing as Benitez as far as I'm concerned. I think I'd rather have Benitez. Benitez is a great guy. He's certainly got the Newcastle fans behind him. But the type of football he plays is, to me, no more interesting than that of Moyes. He does have two things over Moyes. Three things again, I said. One was the success. Two is that he is a better tactician. And three, that he will make changes more quickly. But the end result is we are still going to get that sort of football. Look at what happened at Chelsea. It wasn't a raging success there. The fans pretty soon got tired of him. So Benitez is not the man for me. If we got Benitez, I would see that little more than having Moyes. And I really don't see, apart from the fact that he probably can galvanize and attract a few other players to the club, I don't see any major pluses. So Pellegrini is the best of the lot, I think, for me. As far as the reality of what are we going to get, I'd be surprised if we land him, though. I mean, the wages that man's on. Can we afford him? Which worries me. If we pay those wages, what will we have left? And I'm coming to why I'm wearing this shirt in a minute. But let's get to the players now. I think we need a massive clear out of dead wood. So I've got a list of keep and sell or let contract run down. First thing I'm going to say is this. Collins. I am hoping that the board are not leaving it like it is, because to me it's quite shocking that he did not get an official and I don't mean the unofficial, the fans, the applause, except the unofficial, if he's leaving, an official big deal made, especially as there was nothing left on that game. We were already safe, and that was a pleasurable game. It was going to be no stress. He was coming back from injury. I'm glad he was put in the last few minutes there. Perhaps he could have started the second half. I know he was injured. My theories on injuries is you should never start after an injury. I don't care what anyone says. That's my theory. But halftime would have been great. But above all, quite a big show, a big schmoz fest for him. Something to show that we really appreciate that he's played for us twice and he gives heart and soul. He stands in the away end and supports, for God's sakes. He's West Ham through and through, every bit as much as Noble is. He's valuable in the changing room, very, very valuable as far as character goes and spirit in the team. And he is valuable as a walk-in, step-in defender whenever we need someone at centre-back. He is great for that. And I'm sure he'd be willing to do that. So my suggestion is that we keep him on as a player coach, that we don't let him go. We keep him on as a player coach. Sure, if he has to take a reduction in wages, I'm sure he'd take it. And then he's always fit, he's coaching, he knows the ins and outs of the team, and he can come on in a pinch. Because right now we have two centre-backs we can use, Rice and Ogbonna. Reed is injured, and when I get to Reed in a minute, I'm thinking that he is possibly one of the ones we should let go. And so as a backup, and as an adjunct to hopefully another centre-back that we get, having Collins in the squad would be an absolute bonus as far as team morale, history of the team, how to defend. He's not one of the modern dynamic centre-backs, but he has all the basics there in spades. And youngsters need that. And people who lose the way need that. His support, he's got the camaraderie and he's got the respect of other players. He's played hard and he is very, very good for our team. I do not want to see him go. So my tip of the hat to him, he stays. Who would I like to keep? I would like to keep Hernandez. And I think if Pellegrini comes, there's a good chance we could. I would like to keep Noble. He's heart and soul of the team for the same reason as Collins. He also offers, I think, a good squad player. He's a good squad player. Lanzini, obviously, I'm seriously worried about losing Lanzini, by the way. I guess, and I think that if we get a Spanish-speaking manager, we could keep him. And that, to me, is a bonus in itself. Arnie, absolutely. The man's an animal. 3 or 4 players on him at Everton, and how he manages to get that ball through players' legs. He is fantastic. Adrian, Cresswell. He has started to play quite well, and he plays well with Masuaku on that side. Antonio, possibly, if his injury goes away and he doesn't become the proverbial glass man, he deserves another chance in our team, and he does offer something. Has he lost that pace, that explosive pace? I don't know, but I think he deserves a chance. Players have to worry about him. Other teams have to worry about him, and that's good for us. We have not had enough players in our squad that other teams have had to worry about. They can set up with impunity against us most of the season. We need players that they can worry about, and if he is able to come back and be that dynamic player that he was, good on him. Keep him, and let's try. Ogbonna, Rice, and Zabaleta, for me, heart and soul, another big character. And wow, what a man to step up on that right side and help us out. If you go back to the Everton match, though, you will notice that when Arnie got the ball, and whenever the midfielders got the ball, they always looked left, and all we had was something down the left. We never had anything down the right. Zabaleta made some great runs, but there was that lack of sort of trust in him, and there was a time that Arnie crossed a ball to him right in front of the goal, and Zabs put it aside. Anyone could have done that, I suppose, but I think we need just a little more there. Who do we let go? As I've said, Reed. It's time for Reed to go. He's been a wonderful servant, but it's time for him to go. I just see he's too injury prone now. He's broken down for the last 2 seasons, and we've always had a defensive crisis in the past couple of seasons, and Reed's been a big part of that. Byram, I'm afraid, I think a great championship player, just not big enough, not technical enough for us. Obiang, I'm on the fence about Obiang. Sometimes he has some lovely games, and then other times he falls away. So it all depends in, can we upgrade for Obiang? I'm not sure, but it's possible that he has to go. Fernandez for sure is too lightweight for me. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. For me, Kouyaté, he's been a good servant, but for the last 2 years, he has just been out to lunch. He's lost his engine. He's lost the plot, and he shuffles. He's not really effective anymore. He's not that box-to-box midfielder we had. I think he needs to go. Part of our problem this year has been we have not dominated midfields, and that comes from the defensive midfielders who can shore up the midfield and get that ball forward quickly with technique and skill. Coyote's passing has been terrible for quite a while. Carroll, he has to go for me. He has not been good value for money, no matter what Gio says. He scored 3 goals last season. Are you telling me that if we didn't have an equivalent level player to him, that we wouldn't have got more goals? Only one of those goals really was vitally important, and I'm guessing that if we were paying 75,000 a week, maybe more, and the equivalent transfer fee that we paid back then for a new forward, that we would have got more than 3 goals. Because seriously, the person that we had got would be playing. And Carroll's been decent, wonderful. He plays with real spirit and verve, but we have really funded that too much now, and it's time to go get someone that we can actually rely on. I'm sorry, Andy, but it's time to move on and, go to Newcastle cut price. That's where you're going to be loved, and I think you can finish your career there. Hugo, it was lovely to see you for 20 minutes. You've got an idea of what training's like in the Premier League, but yeah. No. And Evra. A great guy in the changing room, but what was it, 75, 80,000 a week? No, we can do better for that. So those guys have to go, as far as I'm concerned. Ship them out. Some of them just get them off the wages. Some of them we should get some money for. Obiang for sure. Fernandez possibly. Reed maybe. Byram. But that's it. Move on. Buffon? No. Lovely man. Great player. Reactions have gone. I don't believe that we need to be that team anymore that buys old players that were has-beens and puts them on big money like we did with Evra. I do not want to see that again. Why am I wearing the shirt? I'm wearing the shirt because I can tell you quite clearly that next season's shirt will be claret and it will be blue. No one should be buying a new shirt when they're released at all. Wear the old shirt, whatever old shirt you've got, it's claret and blue, until the board shows you that they are willing to spend 50 million plus on revamping our squad. Because if they are not going to do that, if they are going to play largely this season's team, then I think that we should largely wear this season's top. Okay, this is from many years old. See if you can guess when that came from. We weren't even in the Premier League when I last bought a top. This is from the Championship season when we went up under Pardew. And there's no need to change your top to support the team. The only thing you're doing when you change your top is funding the owners, who have not put in a lot of the TV money, have spent 13 net million, that's it. And we have stayed up by the skin on our bottoms. And there is no need to put out for another. So I don't think anyone should buy a shirt when you get the hype train coming, the emails, the big blasts. No, we should just not buy a shirt. No one should buy a shirt. There's a message there. Buy a shirt when the transfer window is closed and they've spent more than £50 million. Because in order for us to stay competitive, we have to get rid of a number of players and we have to upgrade, not just replace, upgrade several players in our squad. I think that Coyote, Noble, those two players are great, and I think Noble has a part to play in every second match perhaps, but I think to dominate midfields now, we are going to need to start thinking of phasing him out. Coyote's gone as far as I'm concerned. He has got to go, and we need two very, very technical, powerful, fast, domineering midfielders to shore up our midfield so that Arnie, Lanzini, and any other creative midfielders we get can actually do their job and not have to come back and help out all the time. We need to dominate midfields. We need another centre-back. And we need a right back for sure. A sprinty, fast right back, skillful, can get crosses in, maybe two. We certainly need Zabaleta to shore that up, to play when we don't have it, to come on at the end of a game, to come on, whenever. But I'm not sure he should be starting, particularly against the big teams. I have gone on for 20 minutes. It's a long time. I had a lot to say. I'm really pleased the season's over. I, like a lot of people, was sick to death with what went on, sick to death with never knowing which West Ham were going to turn up. In Moyes' defence, I will say that his stats were nowhere near as bad as Avram Grant's. He had a 30% win ratio, he had a 34% loss ratio, and he has something like a 38% draw ratio. Much better than the 11 games this season for Bilic too. So he didn't do too badly. I do have to tip my hat to him for keeping us up. 13th place, although, God, it was so close there, wasn't it? He came and he did what he was asked to do. I think it was, having looked at the last few games and the number of goals we shipped, probably the right thing, although I wouldn't have been too disappointed. I would have been curious to see what a pre-season and building a squad of his own players would have done for us, because we frankly need a season of some stability, top half 10, really. But who knows? We may have Pellegrini, we may have Benitez. I'm not going to be thrilled about Benitez. I really don't see that as a change in footballing style over Moyes. And I need to be reminded why we got rid of Moyes if we get Benitez. Pellegrini, that could be interesting, and I'm looking forward to that. Neither of them are long-term. Neither of them are going to be managers that we can build a squad around that we know will be around for a long time, because both of them are going to be out in 2 or 3 years, and we may well be having to do this all again. However, take what I get. Hope that we have a good preseason. Wish everybody really well. And let's remember, let's not buy any shirts until we start to see them spend. Why are you spending if they're not going to? You're just funding their pocketbooks unless they're going to shell out. They have a responsibility as owners. They have lots of rights, lots of privileges, but they have responsibilities. And one of them is minimum 50 million. I'm not talking net. I'm talking 50 million over the top. Get those players out, but you spend 50 million, and any money you get from the players you get out and wages you saved, fine, put them back in. But if you get Pellegrini, I don't want to see that money going out of a transfer budget. Okay, with that said, on a semi-serious note, I still want to say, come on you Irons, have a lot of fun, and I'll maybe post a couple of times over the summer if something big happens. I probably won't post if Pellegrini or Benitez are in, not because I'm disappointed particularly with Pellegrini, but because I think it's a foregone. And but I will start to post if I start to see players being built, brought in, and a squad being built, something exciting. That would be awesome. Something to look forward to. Yeah. Have a good one. Cheers.